Scatter plots and trend lines. A trend line is a line on a scatter plot that is drawn as near as possible to the points on the scatter plot. And that line is going to show some sort of correlation. We use a trend line to estimate the value outside the range of known values, or sometimes inside the range of known values, just to kind of pull it together. Interpolation is when estimating a value between values that we already know on the graph. Extrapolation is estimating a value outside the range of known values. For these examples, we're going to make a scatter plot and then draw a trend line. So we already know how to make a scatter plot. We just have to label everything. And then going up, I'm going to go by 5s. Okay, and on the x-axis we had our ages, and that is in months. And then on our y-axis we have the weight. And that's in pounds. Okay, so we're going to just do the scatter plot like we did before. So we go over to 1 and then up to about 2.5. Then we go over to 2 and then up to 7.6. And then over to 3 and up to 12.5. And so on. So you just graph all those points. So our completed scatter plot would look something like that, where we just have all of our points plotted out. Keep in mind that it looks like we're skipping month 5 and month 7 and month 9, so you leave holes there because we don't have any plots for them. And then the next part is to draw the trend line. To draw the trend line, pick some points that are close to each other on a line. So if I were to draw a trend line, I would just pick some points that would maybe go roughly through the line. Maybe it'd be about that line there. Kind of hit some of the points on it and then doesn't hit some of them. So if I were to pick some points on this line, I would maybe pick this point and this point both seem to be on the line. This first point seems to be on the line too. But if we pick these 2 points, pick the point 4, and that was 417.1, and the point 8, 37.9. And we got those points from the graph, or from our table. We've got 417.1, and we've got 8, 37.9. So those are the points that are pretty close to our trend line, so I'm going to use those points. So now that we've decided on these points, we should be able to find an equation of a line, because we know how to find our slope, And then we know that the equation of our line is y equals mx plus b. So we should be able to find our b from that by using y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So we're going to use everything we know to put all this stuff together. So first thing is we need to find our slope. Okay, so m is going to be equal to my y1 minus my y2 over x1 minus x2. So my x1, y1, x2, y2. Y1 is 17.1 minus my y2, which is 37.9, divided by 4 minus 8. So that's going to give me a negative 20.8 over a negative 4. And then if I want to actually just write it as a decimal, in this case, m is 5.2. Positive. Double negative makes positive. So I have my m. Now I need to find my point slope form in order to find my y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to pick my point, and I'm going to put it in. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So my y1 is 17.1. So y minus 17.1 equals my m, which is 5.2, x minus my x1, which is 4. And then I just solve. So I've now done point slope form. Now I solve for slope intercept form. So I'm going to distribute 5.2x minus 5.2 times a negative 4, which is negative 20.8, and that equals y minus 17.1. So at this stage I'm going to add 17.1 to both sides, leaving me with y equals 5.2x, which is minus negative 20.8 plus 17.1 is negative 3.7. So my line is right there, and that is the approximate line of the weight of a panda, a baby panda. Now suppose we want to estimate the weight of a 7-month panda. This would be an interpolation because it's in between known values. Now what we want to do is we just take our equation and we put in 7 months. So y is our weight, 5.2 times the number of months, which we want 7, minus 3.7. And then we just plug it into the calculator, and y would be equal to about 32.7 pounds. So that is our final answer. We would guess that the weight of a 7-month panda would be about 32.7 pounds. So this next one, we are going to be estimating the length of the panda based on their age rather than the weight. So we're again given points and we want to make a scatter plot. So I labeled by 1s, which is months, which is the age. And then going up, it's the length in inches. Alright, and I labeled by 2s going up and 1s going across. And then we just want to make our scatter plot. So there's our scatter plot, and now we pick 2 points that seem to maybe be on a trend line. So if I draw a trend line and maybe pick, let's see, Something like that seems to kind of follow a general line. Yeah, I'm going to have a few that aren't going to quite fall on it, but that's the general idea. So I'm going to pick the points right here and maybe right here, just because they seem to be right on top of the trend line. So that would be the point 315.5 and 622.2. Now when you're picking points, it doesn't have to be exact. I mean, the answers might be a little different, but just pick 2 points that are on the line. So we have picked our points, 315.5 and 622.2. So the first thing I'm going to do is find my slope. My slope is y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. Y1 is 15.5 minus my y2, which is 22.2, divided by 3 minus 6, which is going to give me a negative 6.7 divided by 3 minus 6 is a negative 3. So my m is going to be about a positive 2.23 repeating. So I'm just going to go with 2.23, and then I put it into y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. So y minus 15.5 equals my m, which we decided 2.23, x minus my x1, which is 3. And then I can solve. Distributing y minus 15.5 equals 2.23 x minus 6.69, and then I have to add 15.5 . So my final answer of my equation is y equals 2.23x plus 8.81. And that is my equation of my trend line. Now if I want to extrapolate the body length of a 15-month panda, so it's outside our range, but we're going to guess at how long it might be, then I'm going to use my equation y minus or equals 2.23 times my x plus 8.81. Well, what am I going to put in for the x? I'm going to put in the month, how old the panda is, which is 15. And then I just have to solve that. So y equals about 42.26, and that is inches. So that is your final answer. So those are your notes over scatter plots and trend lines. Go through some practice problems. Make sure you can develop equations and extrapolate and interpolate the data depending on what you're being asked to do. And then you should take your quiz.